What if I told you that your reality doesn't just respond to what you think, but to who you are in terms of vibration? Many believe that simply imagining or repeating affirmations is enough to transform your life, but that's just the surface. The truth is that your identity, the I you carry within, is what truly shapes the quantum field around you. Think about it. Maybe it's not a lack of effort or techniques that's stopping you from manifesting something bigger. What holds you back is the old you, a set of repeated emotions, unconscious memories, and limiting beliefs that make you recreate the same pattern every day. In this video, you'll discover how to release this version of the past and align yourself with the frequency of a new you, capable of attracting completely different experiences. And when you truly understand this, you will realize that reality is not fixed. It bends to who you choose to be. Stay until the end, because what you learn here could be the key to accessing the version of you that's already living the life you want. You know, when you enter a dark room and out of habit, keep walking the same path you always have, even though you know there's a new piece of furniture there that might trip you. Your old identity works the same way. It guides your steps based on past experiences, as if nothing has changed. It's an outdated map that insists on taking you down old routes, even though the landscape of life has already transformed around you. And the curious thing is that this identity doesn't just remain in your memory. It directly influences how you think, feel, and decide today. It's like an app running in the background, consuming your phone's power without you noticing. Every time you catch yourself repeating the same behavior patterns, even though you swore you'd do things differently, it's the old identity taking over. It creates a field of predictability that keeps you revolving around the same paths. Perhaps you've asked yourself, why do I end up living more of the same, even though I desire something new? The answer lies in the vibrational frequency of the old identity. It's like trying to tune into a new radio station, but the dial keeps turning to the same spot. You might want to hear a new song, but the frequency you're stuck on keeps repeating the same old tunes. And the most intriguing thing is that this identity isn't content to simply limit your steps. It also creates internal stories, narratives that you're not capable, don't deserve, or won't achieve. They're like silent but persuasive voices that convince you to accept a reality less than the one you could live. It's the most sophisticated invisible prison there is, yourself believing there's no other choice. But when we look at this question in light of quantum physics, we begin to realize something powerful. Reality is not independent of the observer. It responds precisely to the state of being you carry. This opens a fascinating space for reflection, because it shows that as long as we remain stuck in the old identity, the universe can only deliver to us what confirms this limited version of ourselves. Quantum physics has brought us a discovery that, although it seems distant from everyday life, is present in every choice we make. Reality is not fixed. It depends on the observer's perspective. It's like when two people experience the same situation, but each tells a completely different story about what happened. The scene is the same, but the experience is shaped by the internal state of the person experiencing it. This point is fascinating because it shows that the universe responds not to what you desire with words, but to what you vibrate silently. If the old identity is filled with fear, insecurity, or resentment, The quantum field understands that this is your vibrational signature and replicates more of the same. It's like an echo. You receive not the sound you intended, but exactly the sound you emitted. Many people believe that simply thinking positively or visualizing what they desire is enough to make everything happen. But deep down, the quantum field doesn't negotiate with the mind's loose ideas. It is loyal to vibrational coherence. If there's no alignment between thought, emotion, and action within you, reality will reflect the dominant frequency, not your idealized desire. It's like smiling on the outside but carrying sadness inside. The universe perceives the real vibration, not the mask. When we understand this, we realize why so many efforts to change our lives seem futile. It's like planting an orange seed and expecting to harvest apples. No matter how much you wish, the fruit will always be consistent with the seed. The quantum field is like that. It doesn't deliver what you ask for, but who you are deep down in that exact moment. And it is precisely for this reason that releasing the weight of the past becomes so essential. Because as long as we vibrate at the frequency of the old identity, we will be sowing the same kind of fruit over and over again. For reality to change, we need to release the accumulated energy that anchors us to the past, opening space for new possibilities to emerge. The past is like a heavy backpack we carry without realizing it. Inside it are memories, resentments, guilt, broken promises, and frustrated expectations. Even if you try to move forward, this invisible weight slows you down and often even makes you give up before you reach your goal. Freeing yourself from the past isn't about forgetting what happened, but choosing not to let those memories dictate your future life. Many people confuse transformation with becoming someone else, but that's not the case. True change is like shedding layers of clothing that were never yours, but that you believed you needed to wear. Every time you release a trapped emotion, like guilt or anger, it's as if you're returning something to the world that no longer belongs to you. This simple yet profound act creates space for what's true within you to breathe and expand. When you hold on to resentments, it's like being trapped in a movie that's already over, but that you insist on watching over and over again. Each time you remember it, your body reacts as if it were real and present. This repetition keeps the vibration of the old identity alive, reinforcing the same scenarios. Letting go doesn't mean approving of what happened, but rather choosing not to endlessly relive that scene so that other stories can take center stage in your life. The curious thing is that by stripping yourself of what isn't yours, you don't become someone new. You return to your purest state, the one that already exists on a parallel frequency. It's like tuning into a radio station that's always been on the air, but which you can only hear now because you've removed the noise that was disturbing your tuning. The future you desire is already present, just waiting for your vibrational adjustment. And it's at this point that we begin to understand how body and mind are involved in this process. Because even when the mind decides to let go, the body often remains stuck in memories, reacting as if it were still in the past. This is where the importance of looking at what's recorded not only in thoughts, but also in biology arises. The body is like a silent diary. It writes not with words, but with sensations, reactions, and symptoms. Every unexpressed emotion transforms into chemistry. Every repetition becomes a habit, and over time, these experiences become embedded within your biology. This is why, even when the mind has already decided to forgive or forget, the body still reacts as if it were in the middle of the same scene from years ago. Gradually, this accumulation creates a nearly automatic mode of functioning. Research shows that by age 35, much of what we call self is already a collection of repeated emotional memories, reaction patterns, and deeply ingrained beliefs. It's like driving a car on autopilot. You think you're in control, but in reality, the driver is the programming you've been ingrained with over a lifetime. This explains why change seems so difficult. It's not just a matter of willpower or positive thinking. The body gets used to certain chemicals, like the adrenaline of stress or the dopamine of worry addiction, and starts demanding these daily doses. It's almost as if there's a hidden dependency. You feel strange when you don't react the same way you always do, as if something is missing. Think of it like an actor rehearsing a play for years. After repeating the lines so many times, even without thinking, he knows every gesture, every word. This is how the body works. It has learned to interpret the old identity so well that it can play the role without any conscious effort. The challenge isn't in memorizing something new, but in unlearning the old script that has become habit. And here's the key. If the body functions like a living memory, then true transformation requires more than changing ideas. It requires updating the vibration that runs through cells, nerves, and emotions. This is precisely where the importance of vibration comes in, the part that reveals why simply thinking differently isn't enough to create a new reality. Vibration is like your energetic signature. It's what the quantum field reads within you, much more than your words or intentions. There's no point in simply repeating positive phrases or creating a vision board full of images if deep down the frequency you carry is still one of scarcity, fear, or doubt. It's like smiling for a photo but feeling sadness in your heart. The universe doesn't respond to the pose. It responds to what vibrates silently. Think, for example, about when you enter a room and immediately feel the atmosphere in the air. Sometimes there are no words, but the energy is so clear that you can tell if the place is light or heavy. This same logic works in the quantum field. The vibration you emit, sustained by your most recurring emotional states, is what creates the atmosphere around you and determines the type of experiences that approach you. This is why change doesn't just happen in the mind, but also in the body and nervous system. If your biology is conditioned to react with anxiety, your primary vibration will be anxiety, even if you maintain a calm mentality. To change this frequency, you need to retrain your body, teaching it to consciously feel new emotions. This is a healing that doesn't happen at the level of ideas, but at the cellular level, and this vibrational update requires practice. Just as you train your body to become stronger in the gym, you can also train your nervous system to sustain states of peace, gratitude, or joy. Gradually, these emotions stop being occasional visitors and become the new standard of your energetic signature. What seemed like effort begins to become natural, like breathing. This is where the power of the observer comes in. When you begin to distance yourself from your old identity and observe the patterns without becoming confused by them, you open the space to consciously choose a new vibration. This shift in internal position is what paves the way for us to understand the role of the observer in the process of transforming reality. There comes a moment when you realize you no longer need to confuse yourself with the voice of your old identity. It's as if you're watching a movie. Instead of being swallowed up by the scene, you start to sit in the theater seat and simply observe. Emotions may still arise, thoughts may still arise, but when you assume the role of the observer, something profoundly changes. You stop being the character trapped in the script and start being the consciousness that sees everything from the outside. This simple act of observation has enormous quantum power. Physics has shown that when the observer's gaze turns to the wave, it transforms into a particle, into manifested reality. Translating this into life, when you observe without judgment, without merging, you are already collapsing old patterns that previously ran on their own. It's like erasing an automatic reflex simply because you decided to pay full attention to it. In everyday life, this can be practiced in subtle ways. Imagine that old anxiety arising before a meeting or a difficult conversation. Instead of getting lost in the whirlwind, you take a deep breath and say to yourself, I see this anxiety, but I am not it. This small act of separating who you are from what you feel already shifts the vibration you sustain. You go from hostage to witness. The observer is like a flashlight lit in a dark room. By illuminating the corners, you realize that many of the monsters that seem threatening are nothing more than projected shadows. And when you see clearly, the shadow loses its power over you. Observing is shedding light on the unconscious, allowing automatic patterns to dissolve in the simple act of being seen. And it is in this state of awakened consciousness that it becomes possible to create vibrational coherence. When heart, mind, emotions, and actions begin to align, reality responds with a different quality of energy, reflecting an internal yes that reverberates in the quantum field. When we think of coherence, we're talking about an internal alignment that goes far beyond ideas or desires. It's when the mind says yes, the heart feels yes, and actions confirm that same yes. In this state, there's no internal conflict. You don't need to convince yourself because your body, emotions, and thoughts are already tuned to the same frequency. It's like listening to an orchestra. When all the instruments are in tune, the music flows naturally and touches the listener. In practice, a lack of coherence is what sabotages many attempts at change. You can affirm, I am prosperous. But if deep down you fear running out of money and continue making decisions based on scarcity, the dominant vibration will still be that of fear. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. The flame is there, but darkness still fills most of the space. The universe responds not to what you declare, but to what you sustain energetically. And this coherence isn't theoretical. It's experiential. You've probably met someone whose presence conveys peace or inspiration without the need for them to speak. This impact comes not from words, but from the coherent frequency they emit. When mind, heart, and attitudes are integrated, this vibration creates a kind of magnetic field that resonates and influences everything around it. A good exercise to understand whether you're in coherence is to observe the contrast between what you desire and how you act in life. If you say you want health, but still feed your body with choices that weaken it, there's a vibrational misalignment. This isn't about judgment, but about clarity. Reality can only reflect the frequency that's truly active within you. In understanding this, it becomes clear that we're not trying to create a future from scratch, but rather tuning into a reality that already exists. Choosing which version of yourself you nurture is what opens or closes the doors to the experiences the quantum field can bring. Choosing the reality you live in isn't a magical act, but a process of attunement. What we call manifestation isn't creating something out of nothing, but rather aligning with the version of yourself that already lives it at a different vibrational level. It's like changing the radio station. The song is already playing, but you can only hear it when you turn the dial to the right frequency. Reality works the same way. It's always been there, just waiting for you to tune in. The key point here is that change needs to be internalized. There's no point repeating phrases like, "I'm confident," if deep down you still feel insecure. For the new version of yourself to manifest, it needs to be experienced as natural, not as something distant you're trying to achieve. It's about embracing the identity of what you seek, until the universe sees no difference between who you are and what you desire to experience. This choice becomes clear when we observe the effort many people make to force reality to change. It's like trying to push a door that opens inward. The more force you apply, the more resistance you feel. But when you change your internal state, the door opens on its own, effortlessly. The secret is not to manipulate the external, but to transform the internal until the external has no choice but to reflect. We can think of it like planting a seed. You don't spend every day digging in the ground to see if it has sprouted. You trust the process, water it, care for it, and continue living. Identity works the same way. If you maintain a consistent vibration, the new reality blossoms naturally, in its own time, without the anxiety of having to control the process. And when we understand this mechanism, we begin to see that the multiverse is vast, full of versions of ourselves occurring simultaneously. The healed, prosperous, and fulfilled version already exists at another frequency, and it's up to us to bridge the vibrational gap to it. Have you ever stopped to think that at this very moment, there are infinite versions of yourself experiencing different possibilities? It's as if every choice, every thought, and every vibration creates ramifications in the fabric of reality. Imagine a remote control with thousands of channels available, and you're always tuning into just one. The thing is, all the channels are already playing, all at the same time. The question isn't whether there's a prosperous, healed, or empowered version of you, but rather what frequency you're allowing yourself to tune into. This idea may seem far-fetched, but consider something simple. When you wake up on a heavy, irritable day, it seems like the whole world responds to that. Traffic gets worse. People seem more impatient. Everything seems to conspire against you. Now, on a day when you wake up feeling light and inspired, it's as if even the most ordinary details shine. The external world reflects your internal state. Quantum physics calls this wave function collapse, but in everyday life you know it as things go right or things go wrong. So, if this higher version of you already exists, and it does, what really matters is not creating it from scratch, but shortening the vibrational distance between where you are and where it vibrates. It's like tuning a radio station. There's no point in turning the knob to the middle of the frequency. You'll only hear noise, but when you find the right tune, the music comes through cleanly, clearly, as if it were always there waiting for you. Many people believe they need to achieve this version one day, as if it were something future. But the truth is that everything is already happening now, simultaneously. You just need to consciously choose which frequency you want to access. Think of it like a house with several open windows. Each window shows a different landscape, but you remain the one looking out. The change isn't external, it's in your internal perspective. And it's at this point that an essential question arises. If there are so many possible versions of yourself, how can you make a leap in identity that connects you to the one that vibrates at the level you desire? This movement doesn't happen solely with positive thinking, but with practices that truly anchor this change. This is where something very special comes in. A true quantum reset ritual. Imagine for a moment that your identity is like a suit of clothing. You wear it every day, often without realizing it, because you're used to it. But some of these clothes no longer fit. They're tight, heavy, or simply don't suit who you are today. The quantum reset ritual is precisely this process of taking off your old clothes and consciously choosing new ones. It's not a distant magical act, but a practical gesture of alignment between who you are now and who you choose to be. This ritual can begin with something very simple, taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, and declaring to yourself that you're willing to let go of the old version. It seems small, but it's powerful. It's like clearing a table before placing something new on it. Without this space, nothing new can settle in. And when you do this with clear intention, you're sending a signal to the quantum field that you're ready to shift frequencies. Then comes the most transformative step, embodying the new identity. Here, it's not enough to just think you need to feel it. Visualize yourself living as this new version and speak a statement of intention out loud as if it were already true. Something like, I choose to be the full version of myself, vibrating with confidence, health, and abundance. When emotion blends with words, it creates an anchor in the vibrational field. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil. And of course, the old mind will try to return. That voice that says this isn't real or you can't do it. That's why the ritual shouldn't be performed just once, but revisited whenever you feel the old identity trying to return. Think of it like restarting a computer. Sometimes the system crashes and needs a reset to function better. Each time you return to the ritual, you reinforce the new frequency and make it more natural in your life. Over time, this process stops being just a one-off exercise and becomes part of your daily life. You begin to realize that change isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing dance with your own energy. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to live aligned with the version of yourself you've chosen. It's at this point that you realize your old identity no longer makes sense, because your vibration has learned to inhabit a new internal space. Life isn't just about big leaps, but about small choices made every day. It's like caring for a plant. You can water it once, but if you don't water it again the next day, it withers. Similarly, consciously choosing which version of yourself you'll manifest needs to be a constant practice. It's not about perfection, but about presence. Each morning is a new chance to align your vibration with the identity you want to live. Think about how many times you wake up and are already immersed in automatic thoughts, almost as if you've put your mind on autopilot. If you're not mindful, the old identity takes over, repeating the same old patterns. But when you remember to stop, breathe, and choose again, something changes. It's like taking a shortcut along a familiar road. You discover you don't have to always follow the same path. This daily shift doesn't have to be complex. Sometimes it's about deciding to respond more calmly to a situation that would normally generate irritation, or choosing to believe you're capable when your inner voice tells you otherwise. These are small actions that, when combined, create a profound transformation. The external world begins to respond, as if invisible mirrors reflect your new vibration in every detail. Over time, you notice that the initial effort becomes a habit. What once required attention and discipline begins to flow naturally. And it is in this flow that reality bends, aligning circumstances, encounters, and opportunities that seem to arise out of nowhere. But in reality, they are simply responses to the internal field you've been nurturing every day. The most beautiful thing about this process is realizing there's no end point. You're always moving, always expanding, always discovering new layers of yourself. Continuous change isn't a race, it's a living path, and each step, no matter how small, carries the power of a quantum leap happening within you, here and now. Perhaps now you understand that it's not about forcing or chasing what you want, but about aligning with the frequency of what already exists within you. When you release the weight of the past, you make room for reality to resonate with your true essence. Manifestation then ceases to be a struggle and becomes a natural dance between you and the universe. If this message touched your heart, remember to like this video, share it with those who also need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving consciousness expanding revelations. I do not speak on my own behalf. I am merely a messenger, bringing echoes of a truth that already dwells within you. And there is still much more to be revealed beyond what we have heard today.